Hello and welcome to another edition of Cranky Gun Reviews. In a previous video, I talked about my love for riot style or police style or trench style shotguns, basically pump action shotguns that have between an 18 and a 20-inch barrel and typically have a corncob foregrip and were used by police and military, or at least were built in the vein of something that was used by the police and the military. Now this little beauty here is a Remington Model 31. This is actually the first Remington I've ever purchased. With all the guns I've ever bought, I've never bought in a Remington, and in this particular case, this one was on the shelf at Cabela's. It just happened to show up one day, and in the past several weeks prior to me buying this one, I had lost out on a couple of pretty good deals for different firearms that I really kind of wanted, and because this one was there and I saw it, I had to go back and buy it. So what is the Remington Model 31? Well, this was really the first side-ejecting Remington shotgun. They made it to compete with the Winchester Model 1912 or the Model 12 because those were gaining popularity. This particular model, the Model 31, came out in 1931 and was out in the market until 1949 when it was replaced by the 870. Now this particular one, again, this was their first side-ejecting pump-action shotgun, and it was advertised as having the gun with the ball-bearing action. It was fast-handling, smooth-operating pump, and I can say from my limited experience with this gun, that is very true. Another benefit of the Model 31, besides being a side-ejecting, very smooth-operating shotgun, is that this was really Remington's take on a takedown shotgun. So again, if we look at the literature here that I was able to find on the web, and you see that this actually states that it's a takedown shotgun, and there was also various different grades of the Model 31. They had different calibers, they had a trap gun, a skeet gun, a Riot shotgun, and they all had different options as far as the wood stock and the foregrip on it. But again, these were marketed as a takedown shotgun. And while it's not really what I would consider a takedown in today's standard, let's go ahead and look at how you actually take this gun down. Now again, the appeal of this wasn't necessarily something that you would take down and store in a backpack or take in a duffel bag with you. The whole point of this takedown was kind of twofold. One, again, to compete with the Model 12 in that you can take the barrel off of the gun, but this one was actually even a little bit more unique because the magazine tube stayed on the gun, and this allowed you to buy various different barrels with one shotgun lower or receiver, if you will. So as opposed to the Model 12 or the Model 1912, where the magazine tube was attached to the barrel, you really couldn't buy different length barrels with those. They were rather prohibitively expensive. Now again, I talked about this possibly being a Riot shotgun. That's at least what it was marked at as Cabela's. And it's kind of difficult finding very definitive information on this, but I wanted to at least start out and try to find out what year it was. So the serial numbers on these don't really tell you the year. Instead, there's this 2-letter or 3-letter stamping code on the bottom of the barrel right before it goes into the receiver. And doing a little bit of searching online, I found out that my KF model was made in May of 1937. So this would actually be the second version of the Model 31. They had a Series 31, a Series 34, and a Series 41, and each one of those all had different variations between the trigger guard and other things. Now again, in all the research I've been able to do on the actual Riot shotguns, the Model 31s, most of them, if not all of them, are recorded as having a 20-inch barrel with a 3 or a 5-shot capacity. This particular one has a 5-shot capacity, but it has an 18-inch barrel. One other reason that I think mine may not be a true Riot gun is that it has an improved modified choke in the barrel, or at least it did. and all the information I read on the Model 31 Riot guns actually had a cylinder bore barrel, and that's pretty typical of a Riot gun. A lot of the Riot shotguns, especially the ones that were made for the military, had property of a police department or U.S. government property stamped somewhere on the gun. They also sometimes had these proof marks with the flaming bomb and the RLB, which was the inspector, or again, the U.S. property marked receiver. Mine has absolutely none of those marks on it. And again, just looking at the front end of the barrel, this, I believe, was professionally cut down and had a new bead put on the barrel, but it's an 18-inch barrel, not a 20-inch barrel. Now again, knowing that this is a 1937 year of manufacture shotgun, who really knows the history on this? Again, everything I've read said that there is a lot of discrepancies in the early years on these shotguns. They didn't really keep great records as to what each model was, and if they put markings on them, if they were a Riot shotgun or not. Who's to say that this wasn't purchased by a police department in the 1930s or 1940s and they had the gun barrel cut down? And that may explain why, again, it has a improved modified stamping on the barrel as opposed to a cylinder bore, and why it's an 18-inch barrel versus a 20-inch barrel. Who knows? But that's kind of the allure of an old gun. You really don't know the history about it, and it's just really fun to try to figure it out. So I know this is a 1937 year of manufacture, and the rest of it to me doesn't really matter what the actual provenance was. I love this gun, and I'm going to enjoy shooting it. The next time I get it out to the range, I'll be sure to take my camera along with me. So thanks for joining me on another edition of Cranky Gun Reviews. I really enjoy these old shotguns. I may even have another one coming from another manufacturer that I've never purchased from. Another really cool, iconic old shotgun. Make sure you support your two-way rights. Get out there and shoot. God bless America. And you remember, if someone tells you to give up some of your freedom for the greater good, you remind them that freedom is the greater good. One thing I forgot to mention, if you want more information on the Model 31, check out Milsurp Garage. He has a really good video talking about this shotgun.
So here's the Riot gun. Here it is. Remington Model 31 Riot gun. Here is a illustration from 1949 dated TM9-2200 depicting prototype M31 trench gun. No production of this type were manufactured. That's a shame. Here's a Model 97 Riot gun over a Model 31 Riot gun. And here's the ones, this is the serial number block. They have it in there in these books.